When Tony Bennett sang about leaving his heart in San Francisco, he wasn't singing about Oakland. There are no little cable cars climbing halfway to the stars in Jack London Square, as charming as it is. Essentially, that's why the city and county of San Francisco sued the city of Oakland and the operator of the Oakland International Airport, the Port of Oakland, to stop Oakland from renaming its airport to San Francisco Bay Oakland International Airport. I'm Scott Hervey, a partner at the law firm of Weintraub Tobin, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Jamie Linsenberg. Fasten your seatbelts and put your seats in the upright and locked position. It's SFO versus OAK in today's installment of The Briefing. Jamie, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Let's see how many airline airport puns and bits of humor we can spontaneously include in this story here.
Sounds good.
Okay, so are you ready for takeoff?
I'm ready.
Okay, so this case is about the Port of Oakland's attempt to rename its airport and include San Francisco in its name. And this is also about the city of San Francisco's claim that such use would create consumer confusion and constitute trademark infringement. But the reason Oakland wanted to include San Francisco, at least it claims, isn't just about the desire to trade off of San Francisco's goodwill.
Okay, so please tell us, why did Oakland want to include San Francisco in the new name of its airport?
Well, as you know, whether we have to travel into our office in San Francisco, which is right in the heart of the financial district, or otherwise fly into downtown San Francisco, we don't always fly in the SFO. Those who have to fly into San Francisco know that flying into Oakland is most often the better bet. It's fairly common to have weather delays in San Francisco, but that's not the case in Oakland. And also, you can catch the BART right into San Francisco, right from the Oakland airport. And if you need a car, Oakland Airport is just right across the Bay Bridge from downtown San Francisco. And apparently, this was not well known to people outside of the Bay Area or travelers who travel regularly into San Francisco.
That's true.
So, apparently the Port of Oakland conducted some studies that concluded that Oakland's proximity to San Francisco isn't really well known outside of the Bay Area and completely unknown outside of California. And the port believed that this lack of awareness of the geographical proximity created challenges from the port in serving travelers.
Yeah, and I can understand why Oakland would want to do this, but I'm sure that San Francisco was not on board.
So true, very true. San Francisco claimed that this would cause consumer confusion. And a few airlines also objected to the purported name change, saying that it would cause confusion for their travelers. The port went through with its internal requirements to implement the name change, and then the city of San Francisco sued, claiming trademark infringement. San Francisco claimed that consumers would believe that there was some association or affiliation between the two airports. And San Francisco also argued that consumers would buy tickets to the wrong airport or go to the wrong airport.
And so I guess this brings us to the heart of the case. Did Oakland's use of San Francisco constitute trademark infringement?
So, in determining that, the court applied the standard likelihood of confusion test, which considers factors such as the strength of the mark, the similarities between the marks, evidence of actual confusion, and the defendant's intent in selecting the mark. The court said that San Francisco's mark, San Francisco International Airport, although it is descriptive, it's commercially strong due to its long-standing use and recognition.
Right. And the court also found that the two marks are similar in appearance and sound and meaning. Although Oakland's mark includes other elements, San Francisco's mark is entirely subsumed in Oakland's mark. The court said that because the two airports offer identical services, the near identity of the marks then makes them confusingly similar.
The court then looked at evidence of actual consumer confusion that was presented by San Francisco. So SFO presented evidence of instances where travelers and even businesses mistook Oakland Airport for SFO because of the name change. For example, there were reports of flight bookings and shipments intended for SFO that ended up at OAK. However, the court found this showing of actual confusion was de minimis or trivial when it considered that 19 million travelers flew in and out of San Francisco between the applicable time frame.
As to the theories of confusion advanced by SFO, the court looked at the degree of care exercised by a typical consumer and found that consumers exercise a high degree of care when purchasing online tickets, which, along with other factors, made the point of sale confusion unlikely.
That's true, but the court also found that consumers exercise a low degree of consumer care over whether neighboring airports are affiliated with each other. According to the court, travelers rarely research airport ownership or management.
Yeah, and I think that's right. I don't think I've ever looked up the airport owners or management.
I certainly haven't.
No. But Scott, did Oakland advance any defenses against its use of San Francisco? It seems that Oakland, may have had a fairly good argument that it was using the words just descriptively.
That's a good point, Jamie. Oakland argued that San Francisco Bay is a descriptive term and that Oakland used that term fairly and in good faith to describe the geographic nature of its airport services, namely its proximity to San Francisco. This argument relies on a provision in the Lanham Act which allows the use of a term otherwise than as a mark if it is used descriptively and used fairly and in good faith to describe the goods or services or their geographic origin.
But the court rejected Oakland's fair use defense, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So the court reasoned that the defense only applies if the term is used otherwise than as a mark. The court noted that the Lanham Act defines a trademark as something used to identify goods and indicate their origin or their source. The court considered the port's prior trademark registration for Oakland International Airport, which had been initially rejected for being primarily geographically descriptive, but later accepted after the port argued that it had acquired secondary meaning in that mark through exclusive and continuous use. The court believed that the port was using the new name in the same way that it had used the old name to acquire secondary meaning and function as a trademark. The court saw the new name as a direct replacement for the old one and predicted that the port would continue to use the new name exclusively and continuously in order to establish secondary meaning. This, the court decided, is using the term as a trademark and does not meet the requirements for the fair use defense under the Lanham Act.
So what did the court ultimately decide here?
Well, the court ended up siding with SFO, finding that Oakland's use of San Francisco in the name of its airport was likely to cause confusion. The ruling prohibits Oakland from adopting or otherwise using the name San Francisco Bay Oakland International Airport.
That's a pretty significant decision, Scott. So what does this now mean for Oakland and for other regional airports?
Well, for Oakland, it's a major setback in their marketing efforts. They're going to need to find another way to compete and informing travelers about their geographic proximity to San Francisco without infringing on established trademarks. For other regional airports, and I'm thinking like primarily of Burbank and Long Beach here in Los Angeles, it's a cautionary tale about the risks of adopting names closely tied to more prominent neighbors. While the Port of Oakland intended to use San Francisco Bay descriptively to clarify the airport's location, the court found that this use created a false impression or affiliation with SFO and its established trademarks. This case underscores the importance of careful consideration of trademark implications when choosing names and brands for businesses and organizations, especially when leveraging geographically descriptive terms.
Yeah, I think I agree with the court's finding here. I'm thinking about Burbank trying to change their name to Burbank Los Angeles International Airport. I don't think that that would fly with LAX.
Can you imagine? It would be the John Wayne Burbank Los Angeles International Airport. That, what a mouthful.
People are already confused with all of the different airports. Like,
Right, right. Thanks for joining me today, Jamie.
thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for flying today's episode of The Briefing. Thanks to Jamie for joining me today. And thank you, the listener or viewer, for tuning in. We hope you found this episode informative, enjoyable, and maybe just a touch humorous. But I mean, there's really nothing funny about trademark infringement. But if you did, please remember to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with your friends and colleagues. And if you have any questions about the topics we covered today, please leave us a comment.